You want to use auto-suggestion to change your negative self-talk and improve your self-image, but maybe you're not sure how? Stick to the end of the video and I'll explain it to you in 3 simple steps. Alright, so the 3 simple steps that you can use to change your negative self-talk into auto-suggestions that can shift your self-image through your subconscious mind. You can start with recognition, recognizing the negative self-talk that's coming up, recognizing the unskillful, limiting beliefs that are underlying the thoughts, recognizing the story that's underneath them, using that to then, step 2, renounce the suffering that's caused by it. Recognize the thoughts that are coming up. Recognize the story that's underneath them. Renounce the suffering that is caused by those unskillful stories. And then reverse the story into an auto-suggestion, an affirmation, a mantra, a prayer, a skillful piece of self-talk that you can then use to reprogram your subconscious mind. For example, let's say you are feeling constantly worried. You're constantly afraid. You're constantly thinking of the future and worst case scenarios. Even though you logically know that the worst case scenario is not the most probable scenario, even though you maybe logically know that you are safe and sound and that everything is going to work out perfectly fine for you, still, there's some nagging sense in the back of your mind that something might go wrong. What if this happens? What if that happens? What if something happens that I couldn't predict? Or maybe it's less overt and it's more subtle, something more like a subtle feeling in the pit of your chest that won't let you just relax and trust in the moment. This could be the effect of subtle stories that are going on in the back of your mind. Maybe you're not fully aware of them, but they're running in the background, influencing your state of being. So what can you do? First, back to the 3 steps. Recognize what's happening using mindfulness practice. Recognize that the thoughts are occurring. Recognize that that's not what you actually want for yourself and that it's not actually true. Moving into the second step of renunciation. You renounce the suffering that you're causing yourself from believing in this unskillful self-talk, this worst case scenario rumination, right? You recognize it, you renounce it, and then you reverse it. How could you reverse it? Reverse the thought that says, things never work out for me, and you say the opposite, which is what? Things always work out for me. Now, maybe something like that's the complete opposite. It's too intense, it's too blunt, and your system can't handle it. Your system won't believe it. If you take the exact opposite of what you've been thinking on autopilot and you try and introduce that into your system, maybe initially there is a rejection. So what can you do? Instead of saying everything always worked out for me, you can soften it by saying, I like when things work out for me. I like the feeling of imagining things working out for me. I'm enjoying thinking about things working out for me. Maybe specifically, let's say you're afraid that you're going to fail an exam to get into the best school in town. And the thoughts that are coming up are saying, you're not going to get in, you're going to fail the test, it's too hard, you haven't studied enough, you've never studied enough, you're not good enough. Ultimately, underneath all these thoughts, it's a fear of not being good enough, not being enough, not having enough. It's a belief in lack, which is more subtle than the thoughts that are coming up. So then you reverse it to say, maybe I am good enough. Maybe I did study enough. I definitely studied everything that was in the study guide. I definitely have taken all the precautions that are necessary. I've done everything that I can do. Anything else that I'm missing might be out of my control, but I'm pretty confident that everything's going to work out. But if you're not actually pretty confident, then you can say, I would like to feel that everything's going to work out. I like the idea of everything always working out. And right now, as I'm talking about everything working out, it feels joyous. It feels relaxing. It feels comforting. It feels relieving. And you focus on those words, and you focus on the feeling that's coming up through your system as you're speaking the words. It's not so much the words, it's more about the emotion that you're feeling, that you are reprogramming into your system through repetition, right? And even if you want to express it with lots of enthusiasm, maybe the most skillful way to express it would be to just meet yourself where you are. Meet your system where it's at right now. Right? So if you're experiencing low energy around this topic, then repeat the phrase with that same low energy. I would like to feel that everything's going to work out fine. I would like to trust that everything is under control. I do trust that I'm able to handle any situation that I might find. I'm glad that I'm deciding to speak to myself in this way. I appreciate myself for taking the time to focus in this way. For example, speaking to yourself in that kind of way, subtly shifting the belief system in a way that's digestible, in a way that is believable and not going to cause too much resistance to come up in your system. So we're being realistic. Yeah, so in summary, recognize the thought patterns that are coming up without judgment. Just recognize what's coming up. Renounce the suffering. As you're recognizing what's coming up and you see clearly that that's not true, that it's not based in reality, that it's not what you're choosing for your life, then you renounce that suffering that you have been previously causing to yourself and choose what's actually true by reversing it in the direction that is skillful, in the direction that's true, in the direction that is uplifting and taking you towards the life that you actually want to create. Okay? I hope that this was helpful. Let me know in the comments if you have any questions or if there's anything you'd like to add. All right? I will see you next time.